Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. The Reticle Up podcast is produced in partnership with AmericanFirearms.org. American Firearms' mission is to recommend what works. We believe everyone deserves access to unbiased, helpful information about firearms, and our buying guides, product reviews, and learning resources are designed to help real people find the stuff that will work best for them. Check us out at www.americanfirearms.org. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reticle Up podcast. I'm here with Brantley Merriam. You may or may not have heard of him because I feel like he's almost this underdog, but he's been shooting for a while. Really great shooter, grandmaster in Carry Optics, and just placed 4th at Carry Optics National. Brantley, how does that feel coming off of that right now?
It feels really good. I got to be honest. It was a lot of hard work, lots of hours of dry fire, and several range trips to get to that point. It's kind of a little bit awesome because my goal was actually 5th. So I actually just went up to my goal just by one place. And so I was really, really happy with that.
That's really cool. And then I know we're already thinking about 2023, but now are you going to have to back that up next year and be top 3?
Yes, that's my goal. I want top 3 next year, and then I want the top 25 or 2024.
Okay. I love it. I like these goals. Yes, I want to dive into that and backing up where did you come from? Because I feel like, the name Brantley, I didn't meet you, I think, until we squatted up at one of those matches this year.
Area 5?
5.
Last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute, and then I haven't seen you since. Mm-hmm. Well, on the squad since, yeah.
Yeah, true. Born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, kind of just shooting things off logs all of my life, just kind of backwoods. Piece of trash, shooting cans off logs, stuff like that. And so I've always been around firearms. They were kind of just always there in the house. But got my first pistol when I was I put money up for my first pistol when I was 15, 14.
Yeah.
SIG 229, because I was watching NCIS, and I was like, man, I want the SIG. I gotta have that gun because it was just a cool gun. Got that gun in 40 because why not?
Why not?
I don't want a small 9mm, but I didn't want a huge 45. I wanted the best of both worlds. Turned 18, started carrying. Not that gun. I got a Shield, Smith & Wesson Shield.
That was my first carry gun.
Carrying that.
Okay.
Was it? Yeah. It was a good little carry gun.
Yeah.
It was in an Uncle Mike's soft holster.
Everyone says that. Yeah.
Heck yeah. But I was ready to defend for sure. But one of the stipulations was that because you have to be 21 to buy a pistol in Alabama, but you can be 18 to carry one. And so my parents bought the pistol with my money, or I think it was a Christmas present, I think. Mm-hmm. But they were like, "Hey, you can start carrying, but really start training with it, practicing with it, do a bunch of videos on it, go take a class if you have to." Mm-hmm. And so that kind of just started me on that path of defensive mindset, doing that. And it wasn't until maybe a year or two later of watching every YouTube video imaginable on guns, on shooting, anything like that. I started seeing these competition videos of guys running around, shooting full speed with pistols. And I was like, that looks heck of a lot of fun. Where do I sign up for that? And didn't know anything about the class system. At that time, I think I switched over to a Glock 19 with an RMR on it. So I had red dots. I never really honestly learned iron sights. I've kind of just always been a red dot shooter. But first match was July of 2019.
Wow.
It was with my grandfather's borrowed Glock 17 Gen 2.
I have a Gen 2. There's too much common right now. That's my Glock 17 is a Gen 2. It's weird.
Oh gosh, that's funny. It was a great shooting gun with I think it was a Serpa, Blackhawk Serpa holster, and then STAC Kiwi double pistol mag with the back pocket for the spare. Mm-hmm. Oh heck yeah. And that was my first match. And I had emailed the match director before then, and he was like, "Hey, I really want you to just come watch a match first and not shoot it." And I was like, man, I really don't want to do that. Like, I want to go shoot my first match. And so my wife ended up coming with me and go to the registration table. And I'm like, hey, I'm the guy who's been emailing you. And he's like, man, I really just want you to just watch this first one. He's like, well, like, can you shoot? Like, do you know firearms? And my wife, completely silent, is standing behind me. And she just goes, yes, you can. And he just goes, okay, you can shoot. And so shot the match in production. I was like middle bottom, probably like real low, but I was hooked. Like that was it. I had to play this game. Shot maybe 3-4 matches in production, and I was like, let's switch to this dot thing. First Carry Optics match, January of 2022. Won my local match, first match of Carry Optics. Was completely blown away that I had won it, and so I was like, well, dang. It took me about 6 months to get classified. Hopped in as a B, like July 2020, I think. Right when all the COVID stuff was ramping up hard.
Yep.
And then from there, it was 9 months to GM. From first classification to GM was 9 months. But I mean, during that, it was dry fire central. It was lots of hour and a half of dry fire just about every day. Just sitting in bed watching TVs, and I'm like shooting a target on the wall, just practicing trigger press, just smooth trigger press, sights trigger. But yeah, just lots and lots of dry fire in like an 11 by 12 room. So there really isn't much moving. It was literally just like, go to this position, shoot a little bit, go to this position, shoot a little bit. And, but yeah, just kind of that happened.
Your wife has been so supportive too. I know she comes to matches, she takes photos, videos, and all of that. So she's been like super patient through this whole entire process too, and like supportive of, I mean, obviously of everything you're doing.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. She has been more than amazing. No, definitely not. I mean, this isn't a cheap game either, so we've had to use our own funds for everything. But she's been very, very supportive in it. And she is a photographer, kind of getting into that business. So it's kind of nice to have my own little personal videographer and photographer and things. So I'm like, hey, dude, let's go take some profile pics. I want to update the profile. Or, hey, can you come to this match with me and videotape for me?
Yep.
So she's been great.
That's awesome. Sure. Okay, so I want to go totally backtrack on everything that you were talking about. Yep. The concealed carry world is interesting too in Alabama. I remember going there and being like, hold on, you can't buy a gun, but you can carry a gun. Like, how does that work out in Alabama?
Weird. And you can't buy ammo either. You can't buy ammo until you're 21.
Yeah, it's a super weird state. So congrats for living there. But as far as your local community too, like one thing that you said that you're starting out in B, but you're already winning your local match. You know, now do you have people that are better than you that pushes you locally, or do you have to travel to kind of get somebody else that's better than you to compete against?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So Carry Optics, I'm normally winning every match. The last match I didn't win locally was when I hurt my support hand and shot the whole match one hand only.
Okay, Mason.
I came like I came like fourth in that one, I think. But ever since then, I had normally been winning most of my local matches. But people who have been pushing me are the open shooters. Where there's 2 GM open shooters. Mike Huang. I don't know how to say his name. We'll just call him Mike Hogg. And Ethan Howell. Those guys, they shoot open. They're super, super fast. And so like I came up like from the very beginning, like watching those guys and just like slapping and running that open gun. And so like really trying to been like emulating them with my Carry Optics gun. I mean, they most of the time always beat me. Well, they always do beat me. I think I've only beaten them maybe once a piece, maybe when they had like an awful day. But I'm trying to like, if I can beat them with my CO gun, I know I can do well against others who are GMs and like national champions with Carry Optics guns.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for that aspect, yes, there's competition, but I have to kind of go to a different division to see it.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, because a lot of people, you need to level up, you know, and going back, I know we're talking about this offline, you never took a class. So don't do what Brantley did, guys. Go take a class for sure, whether it's for your permit, your gun, whatever. Do you think that you did it the harder way without getting instruction, or would you do it all over again the same way that you did on your own?
I think I would do it the same way if I had to do it.
Okay.
Because I was like 100% a student of the game. I would be like, I think 1 month I paid for the Max Michael subscription and literally watched like the past like 3 years of videos in a month. and like just in consuming knowledge on it. I would go watch JJ. I would go stalk his Instagram. I'd go see, oh, is he talking about transitions? Is he talking about 3-step movements? Is he talking about bump transitions? And then I would go watch Travis Tomasi on his reloads or something like that, and be like, oh, let's Mason Lane finding 100 drill, Ben Stager on sight discipline, eye movement. Like I would go to each one of these instructors. So like I wasn't not taught by anybody. I was just taught in different ways. And that's the beauty of the internet nowadays with YouTube and Instagram. All these videos are mostly free. Some people have like subscription services. I think I actually went in halfway with Mike and did like the Christian Seiler breakdown videos. And so like watched like 4 videos of his on that.
Nice.
But I think there is some things like I do lack because I didn't have formal training, but I think there's some things where I was able to like learn how to self-diagnose. If you always have an instructor saying, hey, get better at this, well, then you always have to go back to an instructor to learn that process. But if you can kind of self-diagnose yourself, you can kind of get better in stages. And then once you hit your plateau, you go see an instructor. And then you're like, oh, this is all this world I didn't even know about while you've already mastered a lot of other things.
Yeah, I think, well, I know this, learning the dot is a lot more challenging for me, but I think the dot is the best training tool out there because you can't see your sight step on an iron sights. You can, but like most new shooters are not aware of that. Like that red dot tells you instantly, oh, went left, went right, went down, went up.
Definitely.
Yeah, that helps. Do you occlude your dot? Do you cover it up?
I've dry fired that and I've live fired it a couple times, but I can't say that I've actually want to shoot it in a match.
Okay.
I guess I just like looking through the dot. But I've messed around with it, let's say, but I'm not like it. The only way to shoot is not occluded. I think some people are like, you only shoot occluded. I think you train with it, but I mean, at the end of the day, I want to see as much stuff as I can. So why not just, because I think occluded the dot is only for, in my opinion, for training target focus.
Yeah.
Now you can make the argument of like, hey, if the sun's directly in your face, cover up the dot.
Right.
I mean, that's a smart decision, but I don't think that's a kind of like a one-off thing. Like, let's practice that and then do it. Don't just be like, I'm covering up my dot today at Nationals on like the last stage where the sun's in your face. Let's give it a try. And you drop like 5 mics and you're like, oh gosh, I should have practiced that.
Yeah, I actually know Morgan on her last stage. That was the case that she didn't cover it or anything like that, but she saw 2 dots and hit the no shoot one, called the bottom one, and that is so painful. Yeah. I was talking to her dad about that, and I was like, that comes down to the last stage though. Like you really, like you're going to be mad, but honestly, like you look back and you fought, like because she was coming up, like I think she was 7 points ahead going to the last stage, and I mean that's pretty crazy for sure. For how young she is and how well she can shoot. I mean, that girl's going to be good. Sure. She's already legendary. Yeah, she's beast mode for sure. Her dad is awesome. I felt bad for her on that one, but like like you said, going back like to training with the dot, whether it's covered or not, it's target focus versus sight focus. So how much are you 100% target focused, or when are you actually finding the dot to hit certain distances, or what?
Oh, it's 100% target focused. I try not to focus on the dot. I kind of just want to like see it as like a peripheral movement.
Yeah.
And when it's in the acceptable range, I'm slapping the trigger. I really hate bullseye shooting. And so that's the only time where I'm like trying to control the dot to be like exactly where I am.
Yeah.
But other than that, like if it's in my acceptable range, I'm slapping and going.
What's your acceptable range?
So it depends on the distance. So if I'm shooting like a headbox target, I want like, I don't know, headbox is maybe like 80% alphas.
Okay.
Like in a normal like chest size full open target, I want like 90% alphas on it, and that's in practice.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to all of that dry fire, good Lord. Okay, so I want to know like what training aids you used, what like target sizes did you put up on the wall? What did those drills look like for people that are listening, like, and really want to get better? Like, what did you do? What did that look like?
So you don't have to buy anything, honestly. Like, go get your gun, get the holster you use, and that's it. Go to Walmart and go ask them for all their old cardboard, and literally go and cut yourself out your own targets. That's what I did for years. And that's kind of funny because, so real quick snippet is I have been shooting for 3 years and I have yet to purchase a single target. I actually just bought dry fire targets last week. But for the first
Brantley,
2 years, I actually like.
Do you know how many people are listening to this and hate you right now for the Carry Optics Nationals? And I've never bought a dry fire target. Practice.
No. I think I have. Let me see if I can find one of my old ones. I think it's here.
The ingenuity, guys. GM. All you need is some cardboard from Walmart.
So this is the quarter scale, 1/4 scale target that I dry fired with for years. And as you can see, there's a little dot in the center to kind of grab my eyes and a dot in the head box. And I had like a dozen of these. And I would put like a tux on it or a slasher or a no shoot or so on and so forth. And that's what I dry fired with for forever. And they're quarter size, they're 1/4 scale, and just dry fired with those. But it is kind of handy. I think so. Like starting out dry fire, I got Steve Anderson's dry fire mastery book and started working on that on like par times. But then once I kind of figured, hey, I'm in the ballpark of par times, I kind of let par times disappear.
Okay.
I really felt like I was kind of rushing myself too much for it, and was like, hey, let's just focus on like being efficient and smooth, and then confirming times fly fire. And I seemed to like my par times would go down from that aspect because I wasn't just rushing shots, and I wouldn't have as many missed shots and stuff like that. But I would say honestly, like you can buy dry fire targets 100%. Like they're fancy and they're handy for sure, but you don't have to have it. You can cut out your own target. But you don't need dry fire mags. I still use my normal mags. Now I use my practice mags, and I made some dummy rounds with no primers. No primers, but big bullet. Just so I want the weight of the magazine. I think that's important to have a fully weighted magazine for your reloads. But your holster, I mean, you don't need too much fancy stuff, honestly. You can get away with not having a buzzer, but a buzzer is helpful for sure, just to have that stimulus of, hey, if I hear this buzzer, it's kind of like the wake up call. It's like, okay, let's rock and roll kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you just need diligent, honest dry fire for sure. If you can call shots in dry fire, then you're doing good. Because a lot of people, like they'll dry fire honestly, and they're like, oh yeah, it's 100%. That's 2 alpha shots. In reality, they have no clue where that second shot went. And even at the dry fire, you still have to be accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're not training diligently, you're not really helping yourself in the long run. You're kind of just hurting yourself and building training scars.
Yeah. And then have you ever used like one of the laser systems, like the Mantis or whatever, or thought about using that to see? No. Okay. Just curious.
I have thought about it. It looks really pretty cool. Like it looks like a fun toy. But yeah, I wouldn't say I don't think I would use it for like my actual training, but if I had like a simulator or like something like that, I think that would be worth it.
Yeah. So how did you work on, because this is my weakness, how did you work on swingers and the activator sequences and like all of that stuff? Like, are you trapping, tracking, all the different things that you can do? What, you don't know?
Not a clue. So
you're naturally gifted.
My home range, something like that.
Sure.
But my home range is literally like a piece of dirt, a couple hundred yards behind my house, at a hunting club. And so I don't have access to swingers unless I buy it or make it. So the only swingers or activators that I get are actually at my local matches, or if I go up there and shoot with some of my friends, they'll have some swingers. But it was kind of just learn on the go, just kind of depending on what it is, honestly.
Yeah. The other thing that a lot of shooters struggle with, and Travis mentioned this on the podcast with me, is grip. Like he wishes he could correct a lot of people's grips. And then I'm learning more about how to relax the strong hand and put all the grip in support hand. So can you explain the fundamentals of building a grip, when to build a grip? Like when you're transitioning targets, are you breaking a grip? Are you just moving the gun? Like what's in your head?
So an explanation of grip, the best way I've ever heard it was actually Tim Herron on a podcast. And he was like, everybody hopefully has swung a sledgehammer at some point in their life. A sledgehammer or a maul or an axe. And when you do that, you grip that handle with as much force as you can, and it's not a very precise motion, and you're swinging down with full force, but you have full grip. Versus if you go and hang a picture frame, you have a smaller hammer in your hand. You're not swinging that thing with full force, and you're not gripping it with full force either. And that kind of same concept applies, is your left hand wants to be that sledgehammer grip. where you're literally squeezing as hard as you possibly can until you're shaking. And then Tim says, don't back off at that point, keep it there. But that right hand is literally just that finesse and that just barely support hand, or barely pressure, because you can't pull triggers and have grip 100% of either. You can either do 50-50 or 70-20 or whatever that ratio is in your head, but you have to be able to relax your hand enough where you can still manipulate the trigger without inducing flinching or
trigger freeze,
sympathetic nervous systems. Yeah, trigger freeze, basically. Yes, definitely.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's a big thing because a lot of people are like, I'm strong hand, or I'm right-handed, or whatever hand you are, but like they're not used to doing things with their non-dominant hand,
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, it's on the gun, but is it really doing something on the gun, or is it just kind of there for show? Because that's how my hand was for a very long time. Like just now, recently, within the past maybe year, I've really focused on like crunching down with that left hand and like really getting like that vice grip on it. And I've definitely can tell like a difference in recoil management. So it's definitely been a struggle, I think, but you got to practice with it. A lot of that comes down to dry fire too.
Yeah.
If people are like weak with their grip in dry fire, that's going to translate immediately to their live fire. Mm-hmm. So unless you're kind of thinking in the back of your head while you're dry firing, hey, make sure I have a strong grip that would be conducive to live firing during your dry fire. When you go to live fire, you're going to have a noodle grip, So that's where that honesty comes into it.
Yeah. And did you use any of the grip strength like tools that are out there to do that, or just Brantley just kind of winged it? Okay, you actually used something.
No, but I did the cheap version now.
Okay. What's the cheap version? I went
to Amazon and I got like the $12 little grip strengther thingamabobs, and cranked those out for a while, for like a solid year, and definitely could tell a difference in my grip strength after that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, people watching is different. Like I learned that these muscles play into your grip, and that like when I took Mason Lane's class, I was like, okay, so it took me until this year to realize how much I wasn't gripping, because this is my fault. I went to a 2011 for so long, where 2011 like shoots for you, right? And then you go back to plastic, and you're like, oh, all the fundamentals show what you're doing wrong when you go to a polymer.
Yep, definitely.
So that was fun. I was going to ask you about your draw. Now, I know a lot of you guys at the top do a scoop draw. I know a lot of people at the top also that do that say, don't do that and don't learn that. So what's your thoughts on that?
I'm a bigger proponent in consistency. You look at like some like the best scoop drawers out there, Mason Lane, Matthew Hempel. Those are the two that just come off the top of the head. Great scoop drawers. I mean, they can get like 0.6s, 0.7s, easy,
Yep.
But you still like they're not consistent 100% of the time. Like they're still going to have those mess ups and still get bumped to that 1.2 whenever they mess up, And so I'm like, well, if my draw is 0.8, 0.9 sub-second right there at that second mark, I'm okay with that as long as it's consistent and repeatable each time.
Right.
I would much rather try to find that 2-3 of a second during the stage, instead of having the pressure that has to be at the beginning of the stage,
Yep. So
I really think that like.
Oh, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead first.
I was like, I'm a big proponent in like starting off a stage smooth will lead to a good stage. Like if you out of the draw or out of the holster have a crap draw, like you're already in your head, you're saying, man, this is going to be an awful stage. Versus if you let those first 2 shots rip and you're like, ooh, that felt good. This is going to be a good stage. Like you just shoot the stage a lot better. And it's like that mental aspect of it,
Yeah. So Trace is another one that does scoop draw, and I've taken Mason's class with him, and I shoot with him and his brother a lot. What I learned, which I feel so stupid for, like you said, is that like he asked me a question because we started outside shooting area. You step in, there's 2 sets of stackers right in front of you. But there's 2 open targets to your left and right, and it's a mirror stage. So he was telling me, like, what's my draw time? I'm like, I don't know, because obviously I don't shoot pistol very often. So it's like, okay, even if it's a second and a half, he's like, then why would you stand there, rush the draw, and you're trying to go to the target straight in front of you? Or you can draw and start moving towards that far left side, so you're not wasting time because it's going to take you that long anyways. Boom. So that kind of
soaking up that draw time.
Yeah. And I watched everyone else do it the other way, except for Trace, Brennan, me, and it made so much more sense to me of like why I would do that. So little stuff like that, I know it sounds, little stuff like that adds up to be better.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
hmm there's a big thing, like just knowing like rough times for things. Like you kind of how fast can you split a 7-yard open target? Stationary. How fast can you split a 25-yard open target? What's your draw speed? What's your reload time? Just kind of rough numbers. I don't need the 100,000th of or 100th second, kind of things. But it's like, okay, well, if I have a .8 draw and I got to move 2 steps, is it better to move 2 steps while I'm drawing, or is it better to reload, or stuff like that? Just kind of so you can build a good stage plan in your head.
Yeah, 100% for sure. That's interesting. I haven't asked you this, not that it matters, because I don't think guns and gear matter, especially because Nils just continues to tell us that it doesn't matter. But yeah, you're like, yep. What gun, what optic do you run, and like, what are some of the things that you modified to your gun to make it, maybe tuned up a little bit better for you?
So I started out shooting Glocks. Started out with Glock 19, went to a Glock 34, and settled on CZ Shadow 2. That is like the bread and butter for me right now at the point. But Shadow 2 is a Cajun, and it's CZ custom cut with their plate optics. It's not the optic ready version. It's the CZ custom plate system. But run an SRO on that. I've just always loved the SROs. They've always been good to me. For me, I haven't had any problems. I like the 2.5 MOA. I like the smaller, more refined of a dot. Lock grips. I bought the gun used, and it came with them like full palm swell bogeys. And I was like, man, I can't get a grip on this darn gun. So I had to go to the thin bogeys, but I love the hard, aggressive texture on it. I think I did the full Cajun Gunworks Pro package in it. I do wish that I actually sent the gun to them for them to install it. That would be my only gripe. But I installed it myself, and it took me maybe like a 2-month period of working out the hiccups and the kinks in it for it to start running well. But
cool.
Other than that, I run a 12-pound CZ custom hammer spring in it. The 11.5-pound Cajun Gunworks is a little bit too light for me.
Okay.
I have a couple on CCIs. I have a misfire or a light strike every so often.
Gotcha.
But other than that, it's been pretty straightforward.
That's awesome. I was watching the Pan American videos. I don't know if you watch any of those where they're having to like dip their hands completely into that water and then grip the gun. And I like wanted to cry if you didn't have an aggressive textured grip.
Oh gosh, yes. Well, I mean, a lot of guys use like Pro Grip or some type of paste, and I just use chalk. Like I straight up use just gym chalk, like the bar that you get, and I just put a little Ziploc bag. But I was like, man, that would throw up my entire game right there. Like that would be awful.
But everyone had to do the same challenge. But I was thinking about that. And again, it's funny because I've been focused on PCC a little bit, but I love pistols. So this weekend was just so different. I really understood why people are using chalk and stuff. So I have my own grip stuff, but I cannot hang on to that sucker, especially with like no texture really on the rival with the Carry Optics gun. Yeah. So I have to have it.
Definitely. I mean, because like in a polymer or like a metal frame gun, like you're going to have like the oils on your skin kind of get on that and just kind of make it slick. Or if you didn't wipe it down enough, or some guys just run their gun super, super wet, you're going to have that kind of leak into your hands, and just kind of not feel as good. You kind of want it to be like really stuck to your palms.
Oh yeah.
And not like move around at all.
Yeah. All right. So I'm diving into reloading. We got to talk about reloading. What is Brantley magic recipe for your loads? What power factor are you shooting and all that jazz?
Dun, dun, dun. So I run a Ruben Reloading, 124 grain bullet, with range pickup brass from I buy off the internet versus I go pick it up from my own range. I run tight group, like 3.77 grains of tight group. Oh yeah.
Oh my
I started out with tight group and I just have never left it.
That's awesome.
Like everybody else is on to newer and greener pastures, and I'm just like, it works for me.
Works.
So why not?
Yep.
Heck yeah. I know it's one of the more temperature sensitive ones. So actually if I chrono ammo, I'll actually stick it in a cooler with like some frozen water bottles, take it to the range and shoot it cold. And if it's good speeds cold, I know it's going to be good speeds hot.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I kind of justify it to myself. But for primers, any kind of primers I can get my hands on for practices. But for match primers, I use Federals because they're a little bit softer. And I can't remember ever having a light strike with Federals. but CCIs, the Bosnians, I've had a couple light strikes with those.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. What power factor are you shooting?
130.
Oh, you're like right there on the cusp of the small window.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I've never gone below 129 on a chrono stage.
Okay.
But fun fact, last nationals, they I don't know how, but they messed up my bullet weight, and for some reason thought I was shooting like 180 grain bullet, and had like seeming like a 200 something power factor, and I was like, and that didn't like question somebody's head, like they didn't think, hey, is this guy really doing that? Like, no, they're like, yeah, that's 100%. Like he's totally shooting that out of a shadow.
What?
Like, come on now.
What? So that's in practice course somewhere of your Chronos 200?
Yeah, at the 2021 Nationals, I am the first place of chrono.
And it's not true. That's great. That's great. We won't go too far into that. So, okay. So last year Nationals, what place did you get last year in 2021?
9th.
Okay, so you're shooting Super Squad. You shot Super Squad this year.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
First time doing that. That was a lot of fun.
I was going to ask you, what was it, first of all, like preparing mentally in your head? Like, what were you thinking about it? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Did you know what to expect to be on Super Squad? And then how did that play out for the whole match?
So this will be first time shooting Super Squad, but not first time shooting with a Super Squad member.
Right.
Thankfully, I was actually able to squad with JJ for Area 6 this year. And that was a lot of fun. But I kind of had to go into the mindset of like, hey, because I've watched videos on all these guys, like almost to the point where I might have watched more videos than they've watched of themselves, like to the point where like I'm like detailing everything that they're doing. But that was all in the past. Like when I wanted to come into it as, hey, like I have done all this training and hard work for it. I can't learn anything else from them from this point on. So I have to literally go in and shoot this match at my own skill level, my own pace, and not worry one darn thing. Like JJ or Max goes burn down the stage. Like that's awesome for them, but I can't be trying to push my speed to match them, you know, because I've made it to the Super Squad. I'm doing something right. I don't know what I'm doing right, but I'm doing something right, you know.
Hitting alphas.
And so like, I can go and watch. More like I'm just fast. I don't shoot alphas, but I can go and watch their videos later. But right now, it's literally just my game, shoot my speed, my accuracy, and not try to worry too much of them. And thankfully, I was able to shoot with a buddy. Garen Singleton was on it with me. He actually got 8th place. Heck yeah, he got 8th place last year. And so he shot Super Squad with me. And so he had shot Super Squad years past. And so I kind of asked him the same kind of concepts. Hey, like what's a good game plan to go in for? And he kind of said the same things. So I was kind of happy I was kind of on the right track of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so like these guys that you've been watching videos and all of that, like when was the first time that you met some of these, like I would say role models, heroes of yours in person? And were you freaking out, excited? Were you fanboy?
So my very, very first nationals was like, I think 7 months after I shot Carry Optics. Like I thought Carry Optics nationals, everybody shot nationals. I didn't realize how little people actually shot nationals. And so like my first year shooting, I was like, let's go do this thing called nationals. Drove down to Frostproof, shot nationals, did like 28th, I think, first time, won B class, beat everybody in A class. And then like got halfway through M class. But that was a lot of fun. But like walking the stages one morning, Max like just starts walking past me and starts dry firing the stage. And like I like stopped like in my tracks and just like stared at him. I was like, holy crap, like that's Max Michael. Like I am in his presence. But I mean, he didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to him.
You're very quiet on the
ring. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Major matches, I'll try to be a little bit more serious. But on locals, I'll goof around and hang out with the best of them.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the first like time I've ever like interacted with a high level shooter. And then that was about it until I shot with JJ this year. And he was a ball of laughs. I mean, I don't think he can take anything seriously. The guy's just fun. Everybody loves him. But it was, and everybody on the Super Squad was, by the end of the third day, like we were all talking with each other, cutting up and doing stage plans. Did a lot of stage planning with Vlieger.
Yeah.
Mason Lane, Isaac Lockwood, all those guys. And everybody else in the squad is great guys for sure.
That is really cool. Was it interesting to kind of see like who, like, when someone, they're your competition, right? So when they shoot the stage, like, you kind of know where you stand or where you need to beat or, what they did wrong or whatever. Is it almost like, I don't know, do you still shoot your game? Is there pressure there to perform or nothing like that?
So like, you definitely always still shoot your game, because I think it was Mason who said it was like, if you go up to a stage and you're like, man, I have to really blow the socks off this stage. And then you go back and you're like, well, why weren't you blowing the socks off every stage beforehand? Like, have you been holding back on yourself? Like, why aren't you shooting to your potential? So I really just wanted to go in and shoot. My goal was to shoot 90% of my ability. I understood I was going to have some penalties, some deltas, some mics, something like that. But I just wanted to shoot 90%. 90% times 19 stages was going to put me out well. But yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right, so we've got super spot 2 years in a row. We got fourth. We've talked about the dream of third and win the whole dang thing. But past that and beyond that, have you looked at IPSC or representing USA at World Shoot? Like, what is your big dreams in the shooting sports?
Big dreams. So I'm still kind of fresh into the sport, and I only dove into USPSA. I haven't really even kind of brushed the surface, or even, I still don't even know what rules IPSC does, like when it comes to guns and start positions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I would definitely like to branch out and try some different disciplines. Shoot a little bit, play around in some 2-gun stuff. I don't have a shotgun, but I have a rifle, so I don't mind shooting some 2-gun.
Oh, but for every 3-gunner listening, you just messed up, because we have shotguns and we will make you go shoot 3-gun. Yep. Like, I'm looking at 2 in the safe right now.
But I would absolutely love to go shoot a world shoot. That would be like a huge thing. Just to say you even shot it would be amazing. But I definitely would like to try some IPSC. Maybe try some IDPA just to say I've done it, not for the actual, just for fun. Do a little bit of steel challenge, maybe just to work on some transitions. But just to kind of just broaden some stuff around, just mess around with them stuff and see what different things are.
Yeah, for sure. I know people coming from steel challenge that do really well. Like, if we look at Grant Kunkel or Chris Barrett, like, they've mastered eye speed transitions, calling a shot. It's like all of that, right? And it's like, now the movement is very, very hard, and they're learning all of that. But it's incredible to see how different sports can help you in different other sports.
Definitely.
Well, I hope you get to World Shoot one day. That's really neat. Question for you. As you're telling, or did you tell people, like, hey, I'm going to go into nationals, I'm going to get top 5, I'm going to do this? Like, are you speaking these goals out loud? And are there any, like, naysayers or that, like, do or don't, believe in you?
When it comes to naysayers, nobody has ever told me I couldn't do something.
Okay.
But I'm not very vocal with others who are not in my immediate circle.
Yeah.
So I told probably less than a handful of people that I wanted to get top 5.
Okay.
And I probably told half of those people only after I got 4th that I wanted top 5. I actually wrote it. So I read, I think it was Laney Basham's book, like the beginning of this year. And he was like, hey, write you a Post-it note, read it every day, so on and so forth. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's put the money where the mouth is, and I'll do it. And I wrote me a Post-it note, and I actually have a piece of masking tape above me on my reload bench, and it says literally, I am one of the top 5 carry shooters in this country. And every time I would come in dry fire, I would read that to myself over and over and over again. And then the other 2 points I would make to myself to kind of improve. But you definitely have to have the confidence to go into it. You need confidence, but not cockiness.
Yeah.
I hate people strutting on the range thinking they know everything and they're going to be the best shooter in the world. But you have to kind of be like, okay, yeah, I can do that, Yep. And just kind of be like, yeah, I'm fine with doing that. I'm able to do that. And then go out and do it. But told maybe me, my wife, maybe some family members, and like 1 or 2 other training partners that I wanted 5th. But other than that, I was just like, let's just see how it turns out.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it is important, I think, to share, even if it's with one person, because it almost keeps you accountable. And it's like, oh, I said out loud, somebody knows, now I have to go do it.
No, definitely. No, I think writing it down also, so like you can see it yourself and like constantly reminding yourself of it. Something about writing it down, like it just puts it out into the world. Speaking it puts it out into the world. And it's a very real thing for sure.
Oh yeah, I have like, I think I was 16 years old, and it's in different colors, but I had like get a master's degree, scratched off. Go to the US Open of Surfing, scratched off. Go to SHOT Show. That was all my dreams since I was like, I don't know, 21, 22. Like, and I did it. It took me forever.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, it's like writing it down. It was the top 5 things where they're not small goals. But when you write it down, yeah, like you said, there's something there with that.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you do
I
it.
like putting goals that are like on the edge of possible.
Right.
I mean, like, because you don't want to get a goal that you're always going to reach, because then are you really challenging yourself? Like, you want a goal where it's like on your edge of a capability. So every time you go to the range and practice, I have to put in everything I can to match this goal. You can't just sit back and be like, oh, if I practice a little bit, I'll get my goal. Like, no, you want to be like putting everything, every blood, sweat, and tear into it to get to your goal.
Yeah, 100% for sure. After nationals this year, especially, like, are you starting to see like your uptick in followers on Instagram? Are you seeing like more people DMing you and asking you about like training? Like, I want to know what's changed for you.
Yes.
Now that you're 4th in the country for your optics.
Yes to all the above.
Okay.
Most definitely. I mean, I've got a few hundred followers after every nationals, but I've jumped up maybe 400 or 500 followers just since nationals. And I think
you need to change your bio, by the way. You need to change your bio to 4th in the country or 4th CO shooter.
When I win nationals, I will put that in my bio.
Okay. Oh, keep going. So you're saying, like the uptick in followers. I mean, that is a big thing. That's credible. Definitely.
And I mean, before then, I was already messaging maybe less than a handful of guys just here and there. They would ask me questions or something like that, or I'd say, "Hey, man, that was really, really good," or something. Just kind of keep in touch with people, because I mean, I want to be personable, like I want to be approachable, and like I definitely could see that whenever I got to the range for Nats this year, like tons of people would come up and talk to me, and I loved it. Like, I love talking to whoever would love to talk to me. Like, I want to talk to you for sure. And people would pick my brain about certain things, about stages. I think on one of the days, like, I stayed late and would walk stages, and like several people were like, "Hey, Brantley, hey, what do you think about this stage? What do you think about that stage?" And I'd tell them my game plan. Like, I don't have any problem like telling people what I'm going to do, how I'm going to shoot a stage. Because if you shoot my stage plan and beat me, you deserve it, 100%. Like, there ain't no skin off my back. You just shot better than me, plain as day. Like, I'm not a problem with that at all. So like, I want people to achieve their best they can do. Yep. And then whoever's the best at the end of the day is the best.
100%.
And however that falls. But lots of more people now have messaged me and done the same thing, and asking, "Hey, what do you think about this?" or "What do you think about that?" or "Hey, great job. I'm struggling with this aspect. What do you think?" or how did you dry fire starting out?" And so I love answering as many questions as I can, for sure.
Okay, so now where you're at, 2 things actually. I wanted to talk about your introvertness, because you are introverted.
Yes.
Yeah. You're learning.
I know, I'm very much so introverted.
Yes. And I think that you come out of your shell. I think even now, like, I get a not totally different side of Brantley, but way more open, approachable, and introvert. You have to now be an extrovert when you're at the top and you've got people asking you questions and you're excited to talk, but you're having to learn a whole new world. Welcome to extrovertedness.
Thank you.
Yeah. The questions that you get, is it inspiring you to think about doing the classes, finally becoming an instructor? Like, what does that process look like for you?
Yes, it is very much so inspiring to start putting out quality information. I'm not to the point where I think I can start doing open enrollment classes for sure, but I do think I can switch from only posting match videos to maybe start putting out a little bit more practice videos and a little bit more explanation of why I do the things that I do, how I've learned it, how it helps me, and so on and so forth. And just kind of explaining how I got here, and also doing that for myself. Like, I need to sit back and be like, okay, how do I draw a pistol? Like, what are the finer points of it? How do I do a reload? How do I make a stage plan, and so on and so forth? Because like a lot of things, I think people they just do. There's no thought process behind it. Once you've mastered the skill, you forget about it. But like a good instructor really can explain detailed how he does each step, why he does it, the way he does it, why he doesn't do it some other ways, and why he does do it this way.
Yep.
And so I want to build up that muscle, honestly, to the point where I can teach maybe some private classes for a little bit, and then teach open enrollment classes eventually. That would be the ultimate goal for sure.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it takes a different kind of person to instruct to get concepts across for sure. And the why, the how, and all of that. It's interesting because again, we were talking about like instructing offline. Is you have to you quoted Tim Herron, like that stuck with you forever. So how do you have those same kind of like aha moments for people in classes? Yeah, learning.
Definitely.
I want to talk about live fire drills for you. Like when you do go to the range, even making from B to GM or preparing last year for nationals, like what are the target array setups that you do at your range, and what are you working
on? So live fire, I'm trying to think. There's lots of draw and presentation drills, I would say. I like to, most of the time I start my warm-ups with a full mag of literally one-shot draws. So I would just take a target at like 15, about 12, 15 yards, and I'll just draw one shot, and I'll see that second sight picture, and then I'll come off the gun. And I'll just do that and rep that out until it's smooth and efficient. And then I'll go 2 shots, and I'll go from 7, 15, 25 yards. I'll do that. And then I'll kind of start my practice. And then practice will include from anything to like a designated target drill. So like Ben Steger stuff. I'll do like a transitions drill where I'll put like a hodgepodge of 25 yard here, a 7 yard here, a tux at 15, a no shoot at 12, a 6-inch piece of steel at 15, a 6-inch piece of steel at 20 yards. And I'll shoot that in different orders. I'll shoot that starting in one position, shoot half of it, run to the other position, shoot the other half. I'll do kind of anything I can just come up with in my head, make it leading to nationals. I do a lot of drill stuff, like so small round count, maybe sub eight shots drills, and I'll do those maybe 5 to 6 times a drill, and then I'll do a different drill.
Okay.
I don't like hammering out a drill 12 times to get it right, because that's not accurate with yourself. You know, you're not going to have 12 chances to shoot a stage. You're going to have 1 chance.
Yeah.
And so leading up to Nats, my last like couple practice sessions, I did that very thing. Like I would set up maybe like a 10 to 12 round stage, and I would shoot it twice. That was it. And then I'd completely change up the target array, start positions, everything, and I'd shoot that twice, and so on and so forth. Because I want to get down to where I'm shooting it only once, but like I didn't want to shoot something and be like, that was awful. Like I wanted to end it on an okay note, because I was so close to nationals. I'm okay with ending on a bad note mid-season, but like during the nationals, I really wanted to get the confidence going into it also.
Yeah. Do you ever dry fire the live fire drills you're about to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All the time.
Yes.
Everything that I do in live fire, I have done in dry fire hundreds of times over, probably.
Okay. Are you still doing,
Definitely.
I know sometimes Mason used it in the classes. Are you still putting like dots on targets or like black pasters on certain shots and then not doing it on other targets?
Only on dry fire.
Okay.
On live fire, I keep my targets fully exposed. Okay. I have been working in a lot more partial targets, tuxes, slashers, no shoots. But in dry fire, I'll put little dots on where I want my eyes to go on each target.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Mental game, physical game, all of these things come into play. I know for me, like I'm having to work on physical stuff. That's been great. Sort of need to work on balance. But what are you doing in terms of like the mental toughness and like training for mental game? Or are you, and then same on the physical side, like are you working on like the legs, the core, bursting with, moving in and out position, or what does that look like for you?
So physical game, I have been slacking for sure. Previously I've had a very physical job in the past, doing like lawn care out in the summers in the heat. So like I lost like 10 pounds doing that, gained lots of muscle doing that. And then now my current job is a little bit less physical, but it's definitely still more than sitting at the office and the desk for sure. And so I don't prioritize like going to the gym or anything like that, but I do come from like a basketball past. Like I have played basketball for 7 years, all through high school. Did that. So like I am relatively quick on my feet. Like that is something that I have done in the past. And so like I know I can still do that. But as of like currently physical stuff, not terribly much. Honestly, just doing drills and practices of the physical like sprint and stuff like that I do.
Yeah.
For mental aspect, mental is the game I'm like just now diving into. After last nationals, I was like, okay, I gotta work on this mental stuff because I'm working on it. Definitely is like I was a 100% shooter. Like it was like all or nothing. Like I would either get like a 5% stage win or I would like throw 2 mics on a stage. Like there was no consistency, you know? And so I really wanted to kind of level out that performance through the mental game because I know my skills were there or around there, but the mental game was kind of just fluctuating. And so I really, really dove into the mental game this year, did the Delaney Basham's book, Ben Steger's Match Mentality, and really tried to build the strength of the mental game coming in. Hey, I want consistency. I don't mind if I don't get first on every stage, that's okay. I just want to be able to have a consistent performance every single time, even if it's not to the top of my performance. Like I'm okay with if my 100% might get a stage win, I'm okay with backing it off and getting a 90% stage, you know? 90% times a lot is almost a win every time.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's like on majors. On locals, I want to win, but that's just because it's fun. On locals, I'll kind of mess around. Some matches, like I'll go hard. Like the rest of this year, these are all just fun matches. Like I just want to have fun. I'll probably shoot concealed the rest of the match or the rest of the year just for the heck of it, for fun. And but just training the mental. I think a lot of things have to revolve around self-talk and confidence. Like if you go into a major thinking, man, like I really hope I do good. Like I'm kind of wondering how my skill set is doing. Like you're probably not going to perform as well as you think you can. Versus if you come into it like, hey, I've put in the time, I've put in the practice, I've trained. I know I can do these little things in the drills. Like I know I can split that target at a 14 split. I know I can split that target at a 30 split. I know I can move from this position to this position in X amount of time. Yep. And so if you can kind of break up a stage in that and gain that confidence before you even ever shoot it, that you know I can do that 100%. I think you are going to shoot the stage overall well. And then you got to have a short memory. If you have a stage win and just like dominate, you got to be able to forget it by the time you walk onto the next bay.
Yeah.
Also, if you just completely bomb a stage, you have to leave it back there and move on to the next one. Every stage is a whole new match on a whole new day, and you can't carry anything over to you.
Huh. A lot of us need to work on that one.
I do too, for sure. I'm still working on all these things. I haven't got anything mastered yet.
When you're traveling too, like, are you getting the sleep that you need? Are you eating kind of the same foods that you would eat when you're home? Like all of that stuff, I think really plays in, and a lot of nutrition and like hydration. Like people don't talk a lot about that. I don't know if you want to share kind of what your routine looks like.
So like travel matches, I like to get like a good solid 8 hours of sleep. I'm not a big proponent of like dry firing right before a match because I really don't think I'm going to learn anything that close to it. If I do dry fire, it's like I said, it's confirmation and confidence building stuff, just of like making sure, hey, everything's good. Nothing's too crazy. Nutrition and stuff, I try to get a cup of coffee every morning, that's normal for me. And so I want to continue that pace no matter a match. No energy drinks, nothing like that. I don't do that in my personal life, so I'm not going to do that before a match for sure.
Yep.
So I'll have something on my stomach during the breakfast or before the match. And if it's like a half day format and then a lunch and then the other half day, I try to eat something real light. I'm not going to get no burger and fries for sure.
Yeah.
Like I might do like a cold chicken and lettuce wrap with some cheese in it. And that might be it. And I'm not going to eat till I'm full. I'm going to eat till like I'm just barely I put stuff. Exactly. Like I'm not grumbling no more.
Yes.
And then I always like to keep body armors and gummy bears and granola bars in my bag.
Gummy bears. Okay. Okay, Brady. What?
Now that is because I do get like some sugar headaches. If you don't have sugar in a while, you get like a little bit of headache coming on, and so like I'll pop me a few gummy bears and kind of just let that go away.
Which brand though?
I'm not tied to a brand. Like I'll get like the Smileys, like the old school Great Value Smileys. Those are like childhood stuff right there. Those are awesome.
Oh, Albanese Brady's thing? Like you got to get that brand. I don't know. I can't remember.
I've never heard of that. It'd be like Hasbro. Hasbro is the gummy
Yeah,
bear
it's not
brand?
those.
Or is that the
It's
game
the
brand?
white bag. I can picture the white bag. Brady's gonna punch us both for not knowing.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Brady, if you're listening, bring me a bag and I will eat it.
There we go.
And then I'll see who has the better gummy bears.
That.
Exactly.
Okay, what else is your routine? Sorry, so sugar crash. That's cool.
No, you're good. You're good. And I'll have a cooler of water and like a body armor, which is kind of like a Gatorade. Has more of like a coconut water stuff in it, so kind of the more natural sugars. But I try to drink on like a major match. I want to drink a bottle of something after every stage if it's hot. No matter if it's a bottle of water or a bottle of body armor, like I'm drinking one of something every stage.
Same.
That means that I'm peeing probably 3-4 times during a match, but at least I'm not dehydrated.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Outside of like shooting, do you have hobbies? You can't say reloading.
They all kind of revolve around guns.
Yeah.
No, reloading is a necessity. I wouldn't call reloading as a hobby for sure.
Right.
I started reloading just out of the necessity of having to shoot more rounds. But I like I said, I have several rifles. And I like shooting like ARs for like the practical shooting aspect. So sometimes I'll take rifles out to my practices, and at the end of practice, I'll shoot what I've done in pistol in rifle. Sometimes I've dabbled in some like long range gas gun stuff.
Nice.
And then I'll shoot a bow during bow season and stuff like that. But
yeah,
not too many other hobbies. Like
yeah,
it's just coming up. I got to start practicing. I told myself after nationals, I'll break out the bag and I'll start practicing it.
And you haven't yet, and it's been like 3 weeks, bro.
I know.
Archery.
I've been bad.
Archery is something that I picked up last year. Yeah, last year. But it's interesting because everything ties over into shooting that you would concept wise. So your breathing,
fundamentals,
line of sight. Yeah. And like the littlest movement, if you jerk it, whether you have the thumb release or trigger finger release or whatever, like yeah, that shot's gone.
It's a lot of consistency,
yes.
Like so I have like a kisser on mine. Like if I don't put that kisser right there in that lip, I know the shot's going to be off. If I don't release it how I always release it, if I don't grip the bow with my sport hand how I normally grip it, if I don't follow through correctly, you're going to throw your shots off. And that translates to shooting, You got to be consistent in everything you do, and then you can fix things. If you're inconsistent, you can't fix anything because you don't know what the problem is.
That's true. Have you ever hit yourself with your own bow string?
Wait, what?
Like when you let go? Well, on your left hand or support hand?
Oh, gosh, yes, all the time.
Okay, good. I'm not the only dumbass.
Yes. No, my grandfather gave me like a forearm guard to wear.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm
not wearing that. Nope. And then I should have because it hurt real bad for a real long time.
Yeah, you don't do it several times in a row. You might do it a couple times a session. But
yeah.
Oh, and I've done it more than that now. So maybe I'm not the brightest one.
I learned hard because it was like, I don't know, a 6-inch spread on my arm. So like, we're good.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, it's funny. It's a sting for sure.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I digress. Something I want to ask you too about like your progress in shooting sports. So like, are you getting reached out to at all by potential sponsors, or like, are you looking at new ones for the future, or what do you want to do?
So in the past, not too much. I've only had 2 sponsors, which I've reached out to. Was Rubens and Lock Grips, but I'm currently in talks with a couple others, which are some pretty good things in the future. So I won't say too much about those, but it's going to be. I'm very excited to see what the future holds. For sure.
That's awesome. Did they reach out to you, or you're putting that out there?
Yes. No, they reached out to me.
That's awesome. Really, that's really cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
You've done.
I'm pretty excited about it. There's some good companies that I can stand behind, and I believe they're putting out good products.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you're talking about you're in like the play off season relax mode kind of the rest of the year. So I know we talked about offline. So what division are you dabbling with, and why?
So I talked about wanting to eventually in the future teach shooting as an instructor kind of thing. And so with that, I really do think that instructors should be able to teach both irons and dots.
Yeah.
And I have been 99% a dot shooter. I started out shooting probably with a dot. And when I really got serious with shooting, it was with a dot gun. It was not with an iron gun.
Yep.
And so I got to so that being said, I want to go and train with irons now. Yep. So the end of or for the rest of the year, I'm either going to go concealment, carry optics, or concealment limited, just because I don't want to reload a lot. And so there's a chance I might get a second shadow, or just take off my dot and throw irons on it and run that as limited. But definitely got to play around with some stuff, especially in practice. I'll dry fire and live fire irons a lot more just to build up that skill.
So when you're shooting irons, you're still target focused, I'm assuming, but are you seeing like where the front sight is moving as far as if you had a dot, like knowing where they're going, or is that harder for you?
I'm gonna even defer to I don't even know yet.
Okay.
I have shot irons so little I can't even I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know if it's wrong or if it's right. I definitely do think that I'll stick to target focusing as much as I can, as the principle I'll stand behind, or I'll try to emulate, let's say. And then we'll see how it goes for sure.
Love it.
Ain't nothing to do but to try it.
That's true. I'll be intrigued to see how that goes out. I'm sure you'll be great at it. It's just something totally different. Yeah, you're having to learn.
Definitely.
Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you do want to talk about when it comes to like the shooting sport, new shooters, like your journey as well, or?
I'd say help out anybody you can. I was very, very fortunate to have a lot of great shooters to watch, to see how to shoot, but also tons of friends meeting up. Like I said, I was an introvert kind of starting out, and I can't say I'm an extrovert by any means, but I have also learned to branch out and cut up and mess around with some guys around shooting, because it's a fun hobby. That's at the end of the day, it's what it is. You're there to have fun. If you're not having fun, you really need to rethink some stuff and kind of just mess around with it if you have to.
Yep.
I can definitely tell after nationals, whenever I've switched off the competition brain and just gone into the fun stage, it's a whole new world, honestly. It really is. I'm yeah, I'll halfway do this stage plan, but at the end of the day, it's I'm just here to have fun. I'm just here to shoot and see what happens.
Yep.
But definitely try to get as many people as you can. A lot of my friends and family, I'm trying to get to the range to practice, because a lot of them, they carry concealed, and I'm hey, let me just come out for a practice route. I'll even supply the ammo. Y'all come shoot my ammo. I'm gonna just help you out and just have fun with it. Honestly, the more and more you make it into a game, or the more and more you have fun with it, the more and more in the beginning they'll continue to do it. And then once they see the benefits of it, it's hey, this is actually really beneficial. I'm getting proficient with my firearm. Let's actually dive into it, and then you kind of get them hooked. If you can get them to a match, you normally get them hooked.
Yeah. Now, how do we get your wife to shoot?
So she is actually a really good shot.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't have the movement yet, but just fundamentals and stand and shoot. She's one of the best person I've seen from nothing to where she is now.
Love it.
Progression wise. She's very, very well. But that's up to
get her
her.
a belt. She gotta get her a belt and some gear.
Whenever she starts carrying, we'll get her into it.
Okay.
She's been saying for the last year or something like that. Oh, I gotta start carrying. I was I bought you a holster and a gun. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. No, I want more women. I think it was really funny, not funny and funny actually. I had Christina and I had my friend Brooke, and I had never met Brooke. She connected with me on Instagram, so I shot with them this weekend, and it was so much fun. And it was something where and I'll share this, maybe she listens, maybe she doesn't, but she reached out and she was she was on a different squad. She's I really don't want to shoot with your squad because you guys are all really good. I'm going to shoot pistol. You guys are mostly shooting PCC. I don't want to be the person bogging people down. I'm no, move to our squad. We're going to have a blast. You're going to learn stuff. I switched to pistol anyways, but it's we want you on our squad and you're going to have a lot more fun time if you move.
And I think, yeah, a lot of people are worried about that perception of, I'm going to be bad my first stage or my first match. And it's no, go squad with the best people out there, just because they're having fun. They know how to shoot the sport, and then ask us.
But
nah, y'all are good for sure. And then, ask as many questions as possible for sure.
Yep.
And that's one of the beautiful things about Instagram and then YouTube is I've connected with so many people from around the country that I would have never met or even spoken to beforehand. And then they were able to or I was able to go meet them. I had like a list of like a dozen people I wanted to go like and meet at Nats. And so like I would walk around to their squad like during their day, say hey to them, talk to them.
Love it.
And so it was a lot of fun.
It is. I mean, and nowadays what was so interesting to me to see is that every single squad, like for the last, I don't know, 4 years, like for me, when I was getting started, it was always men, which is fine. There would be some women, but I would never be on the squad. Now it's like every single match I shoot with, like I'm going to have Jesse, or I'm going to have like one of the friends, Christina's always kind of on there with me. So having even 1 and 2 per squad, like that's cool to see. That's why I really want to see that grow.
Yeah. Oh. Definitely.
Awesome.
I mean, you gotta get the women out there, different people from different backgrounds. Yeah. Anybody shoot. It's a beautiful country we live in. We have some great freedoms. Let's continue to keep those freedoms and let's exercise them as much as we can.
Love it. Well said. Well, Brantley, I'm going to leave you a space here too to say thank you to your sponsors that you mentioned earlier. And I know you've got some codes if you want to share those as well with listeners. And then tell me your Instagram name too for people to go follow you.
Definitely. So shout out to Ruben's Reloading. He's been great about providing great ammunition. Have a coupon code with him for 12% off. Use Miriam 12. If you don't know how to spell it, it'll be in the show notes, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm not going to try to spell it. But,
like the dictionary. And if you can't spell the dictionary, the name of the dictionary, then we're in bigger trouble.
Just like the dictionary. Miriam 12 for that one. And then lock grips for making some real good grips. And then shout out for the future for some potential sponsors who I'm excited for those for sure. And then Instagram handle is going to be Brantley_Merriam_shooting. And on Instagram and also on YouTube, post full match videos on YouTube. And I'm going to be starting soon. I'm starting to work on it, but I'll do match breakdown videos of previous stages or previous matches.
Awesome. Brantley, I love that you came from humble beginnings. I love that you're kind of this non-known, but are known shooter that came up and 4th at 400 and something shooters. I one of the largest nationals ever held against the top name shooters in the world, in the country. Like, you should be very proud. So congratulations for all of that.
Thank you very much.
And the work. Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Everybody go follow him. Go make Brantley talk to you and be an extrovert. He needs more practice.
Oh gosh.
Right? Go ask all the questions.
I'll answer any questions anybody has if I can, for sure. Ask away. And thank you for having me on here. It's been a blast talking to you and just getting to know more about everything.
Absolutely. Same. All right, listeners, stay tuned for next week's episode of the Reticle Up Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.